Good day everyone, I'm Mr. John Bister, a senior College of Business and Criminology. Make a podcast about this topic, Law Enforcement Code of Ethics. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind. Too often we forget that enforcement is not just job for which we are hired as one would hire a laborer. It involves a sworn duty. Service involves dedication and sacrifice of the giving of oneself. These are words that many find hard to swallow in his present day and age, but the job of professional law enforcement requires a special breed of man to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder. We must, however, understand some of the limitations that are present in a truly democratic society. In such a society as ours, this task be a difficult one because protecting the rights of the criminal is sometimes a hard pill for law enforcement officer to swallow. It is easy for an officer to become better when he has continually witnessed and the ends of justice towards by red tape politics and technicalities of the law. The more truly idealistic he is, the more frustrated he can become, especially of he lacks philosophy or understanding of his true purpose in society which he serves. To respect the constitutional rights of all men to liberty, equality, and justice. Respecting the rights of others is not one of man's natural equalities. It seems to be a part of his nature of respect and persecute justice on this earth. Now there ever be, because man is not all knowing, nor is he himself perfect. Still we must strive or form a justice that represent of ultimate capability. This involves not only great and the part of every person in the community, but individual sacrifice as well. I will keep my private life unsolved as an example to all. One of the first things that a law enforcement officer must learn is that he has to provide private life. Every citizen should be entitled to his own private life, yet when a person accepts the calling of the law enforcement as a voluntary measure, he must be willing to obtain his privacy as a sacrifice to the good of the community which he served. A law enforcement officer can be hide from his neighbors the fact that he is the policeman, then his private life could be his own. If a policeman is a family, has a family, his occupation will become known in the neighborhood within a few days at the most. If he is single and keep himself, he may keep his secret a little longer. But if he is engaged in active law enforcement with his community, it is inevitable that his neighbor will become aware of it. Once this is a no, he will become the object of constant observation. Maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn or ridicule, and develop self-restraint. Most officers are prepared for face-to-face physical dangers and public accept it. This is due to a fact that when most people think of police work, they think of high-speed chases with guns blazing in similar situation in which his officer's life is constant danger. And kasi a police officer, a public officer, and community instead of being above reproach or ridicule, he must expect to receive his position sa part of his job. It's not easy to control his temporary when being subjected to unnecessary and unjustified scorn or ridicule. Whatever I say or hear of a confidential nature or that confined to me and my official capacity will be kept secret unless revelation is necessary in the performance of my duty. Some officers feel that there is the difference in that the information obtained by the doctor and attorney is the freely given with the understanding that it will be confidential, whereas the information obtained as a part. The law information officer can be the result of many sources or from the investigation. I will never permit personal feelings, prejudices, animosities, or friendships to influence my decision. It's quite difficult to know which desire to is strongest in some person to help our friends or to hurt our enemies. But desire are part of the human nature. Helping our friends can be very good thing in itself. But then involve an equity and the administration of justice, we are defiling the oath we made to the community in which we serve in police work. There are sample opportunity of the both heart, enemies, and help friends, and it takes person of strong character to property. Perform his duties under this circumstance without professional conviction. This can be impossible. I will never act officiously. One of the fault that is the common the new officer is that they often act officially. They appear to the public to be over impressed with their own importance, and way this is the natural because this is associated with pride, and a new officer is usually very proud with the first put of his uniform and badge. With no compromise for the crime and with the relentless prosecution of criminals, I will enforce the law courteously of the appropriately without fear or favor, malice or will. The term with no compromise for crime means that crime will be not be knowing permitted. It does not mean that the officer must perform his duties to the letter of the law without taking into consideration spirit of law. No one can predict or guarantee the final result of any ethical. Only God can do this. Man can only be responsible for his immediate action. If an officer does a good job and were the criminal released by the court, the blame is not upon him, upon the court, the jury of the society itself. I will never employ unnecessary force or violence. At times, a use of force, a performance of one's duties of an absolutely necessary. There is no escaping. It is extremely difficult to judge exactly or not the use of force used in a particular situation was necessary or not. The use of force of violence during interrogation will often produce immediate confusion, but it should be avoided on ethical ground, and the interrogator seldom knows with complete necessary that suspect is guilty of the use of force of the third degree on an innocent person. And certainly miscarriage of justice as violation of professional conduct. I will never accept gratitude. Gratitude test take two main form. First is the guilty gratitude given by the person with the sole intent and receiving something in return. Second, that's given solely but of a respect for a law enforcement and the job that the police officer are doing. To be truly professional, we must first be ethical. We must do what is actually desirable, not merely what we would like to be desirable. I recognize the badge of my office of the symbol of public faith, and I accept it and a public trust to be held so long as I am true to the ethics of police service. This is the most overlooked, the forgotten phase of law enforcement by the man of the field. It is this that enable an officer to suffer difficulties and problems that the held at times so frustrating and discouraged. Police officer must understand that he is one of the related few. Officers should also understand that any personal reward will be not obtained from the public itself, from the public. It's difficult master. It is the no personal reward. It is can only come from the job itself, or from knowing the significance of the job and essential role that plays in the city. Excuse me. We will constantly strive to achieve these objectives. The idea is dedicating myself before God to my choosing professional law enforcement. Proficiency is a law enforcement involve many factors and involve mental, moral, and physical conditioning. They are all important aspects. The officer who let himself sleep physically is certain not able to protect society. The officer who is in good physical condition has more confidence in his ability and this is sensed by those with whom he deal, and as a result he find that it is necessary to exert authority as much as it might be otherwise. However, knowing and understanding the code of ethics is not enough. It must actually be practice. It must be live. Thank you po.